Behold, I am the handmaid of the Lord. May it be done to me according to your word. I wonder if the character Frodo Baggins from the classic Lord of the Rings trilogy could have known all of the dangers involved in the mission to save Middle-earth through the destruction of the evil ring would entail. Would he have been so brave in stepping forward and accepting the task? Wouldn't he rather have trembled in terror at the vision of all the various enemies who would come his way to try to take his life? And wouldn't he have been repulsed by the creature Gollum with its duplicity, a shadowy portent of what he himself might become under the influence of the ring? And wouldn't he have sorrowed at the sight of his own betrayal of his best friend Sam? Of course, Frodo couldn't have known about all these dangers ahead of time, although he certainly had to have had a sense that the mission to destroy the ring would be an arduous one that might actually require his own life. Despite these ominous premonitions, Frodo still steps forward, and still he accepts the task. This is a display of what I would call radical obedience. Radical obedience is the ability that people have to be fully present to the situation at hand, to listen, and then to act according to what is being asked of them by God, by their consciences, by their neighbors, or by the world at large. We see a perfect example of this radical obedience in today's gospel reading. The angel Gabriel has come to the Blessed Virgin Mary to give her a mission from God. Mary is fully present to what is being said to her. She listens attentively. She asks good questions, and in the end, she says yes to the task at hand. She cannot see the road before her clearly. She has not been given many reassurances about what is to come, and she must have known that whatever was about to happen to her would not be easy. But this ambiguity is not enough to dissuade her from saying yes to God. King Ahab from the first reading, however, is just the opposite. He's a fool, saying only what he thinks is appropriate. He is not present to the moment, and he is inattentive to God and to God's message. Thus, ironically, he was given the opportunity to ask something from God, but doesn't. Mary, in contrast, is asked to do something for God, and she does. The difference is radical obedience. The key component is listening, but the foundation is love. The love of something, of someone greater than oneself. It is this kind of love that the second reading for today declares ranks so much higher than sacrifices like fasting, almsgiving, or penitential prayers. Although these are all good, God does not want us to be a people who do external penances and yet remain closed to His will. Rather, He demands that our minds and our hearts be open to go wherever He calls us to go and do whatever He asks us to do. He demands that we be silent so we can hear His voice. And He demands that we be contemplative so we can be present to the moment and attentive to the task at hand. Today there ought to be an urgency about our radical obedience, because in a sense the world of today is in as great a danger as the fictional world of Middle-earth was. Indeed, there is as great a need today for the incarnation of God's Word as there was in the days of the Blessed Virgin Mary. If we Christians say yes and say the right thing, and yet we don't do what God actually asks of us, we are fools whose religion has taught us nothing. But if we are radically obedient and allow our love for God to move us into action, we become signs that sin has already been defeated. This is the greatest preaching of Jesus Christ that we could ever hope to do, which is precisely the task at hand.